Hi, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from Street Scores, and the Commanders' 3-game win streak has come to an end. Of course, every time I do a game breakdown and game review for any Commanders game, regular season, I'm going to keep speaking it into existence, postseason as well. We're going to go player by player, position group by position group, and we're also going to talk about coaching as well. So we got to talk about Scott Turner, his play calling. We got to talk about Ron Rivera's time management. And, of course, let's just go ahead and get it out the way. The top 5 reasons we lost this game. Number 1, Taylor Heinicke. Number 2 and 3, you can kind of interchange between Ron Rivera and Scott Turner. And then number 4 is offensive line. That's my top 4. And then number 5, even though the refs, man, I thought they were on our side. I thought, okay, Dan Snyder announces he's going to sell the team. Even though he hasn't sold it yet, now the refs are going to stop hating on us. The way that ref took out that Vikings DB for that Curtis Samuel catch and the touchdown, all of that, boy, I thought the refs were finally on our side. But at the same time, man, they called some slightly crazy calls in there that led to Vikings points. That pick 6 for Benjamin St-Juste, that's a call that you can pretty much make any play. That was petty to call that. That should have been a pick 6. We should have been winning the game. The game should have pretty much been out of reach at that point. So the refs gave us a big win. I've never seen a ref do that. Completely take a receiver out, a DB out of the play. That was a terrible throw from Taylor Heinicke, first of all. Triple covered. Never throw that again. But it seems like whenever he does terrible throws, even that throw to Terry McLaurin at the end of the Colts game, it just seems like our guys clutch up or luck takes place. At this point, Taylor Heinicke's so lucky, it's got to be a skill. Literally, just at this point, you got to count it as a skill. It's something you can kind of depend on game to game. It may not win you every game, but he's going to have some random lucky, what was that? How did you even know that would work type of moments. But yeah, I would probably say the refs are a distant 5th. A very distant 5th, though. My top 4 are firmly Heinicke, then Rivera and Scott Turner, depending on how I'm feeling any given minute. Because that Ron Rivera time management, the challenge for no reason. We ended up getting the first down anyway. At the very least, have faith in your team to get the first down. And second of all, it's just a bad challenge, first of all. But I'm so conflicted on that. That was ridiculous because now you give away your second timeout. You only have 1 for the rest of the game. Also, on the replay, it didn't even necessarily look like we got it. So I wouldn't have challenged it just off of the fact that I don't think we can win it. And then, just have faith in your team to get a 3rd and 1. He challenged that like it was 2 minutes left in the game and we needed that first down. I just didn't understand that at all. So, man, Ron Rivera's time management has been killing us for weeks now. It's been at least 4 or 5 games where Ron Rivera's time management has literally been one of the main reasons we haven't won any given game this season, man. It's pretty bad. But my top 4, easily Taylor Heinicke number 1 without debate. And then Ron Rivera, Scott Turner 2nd and 3rd, and then the refs, and then the O-line 4th, and then maybe the refs a distant 5th. But at the same time, we didn't put ourselves in positions to win. If Taylor Heinicke doesn't throw that interception, the refs don't have a chance to even affect the game. So that's on Taylor Heinicke more than anybody else. But, of course, with any Rico Street Scores breakdown like this, we're going to go, like I already said, player by player, position group by position group, going with quarterbacks, then wide receivers, running backs, offensive line, tight ends, all of that. We're going to break all of that down, go to talk about every player, positive and negative, no matter how they impacted the game, because not everybody's perfect. So one player may have had some good plays and also some bad plays. We're going to talk about both for each player that impacted the game enough. And then, of course, we're going to go to the defense. We're going to go to special teams as well. We're going to talk about all of it, man. But before we do, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get notification immediately. And every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one, I'm ashamed to even be putting on a Sean Taylor jersey after the way we just lost that game. He doesn't even deserve this. I honestly shouldn't even put this jersey on. I feel like I'm doing it a disservice, man. And Taylor Heinicke, why? Why? You're my Atlanta boy. Metro Atlanta area. If anybody has any reason to root for you, it's me. But I'm just so sick of it. I came into the game like he's probably going to Heinicke the situation. We're going to end up losing probably because of him. We're going to feel like we have a chance to win because of him, but he could also be the reason that we lose. And then it ended up happening, sadly. But oh man, of course I live stream every Commanders game in the regular season, so even this upcoming Monday night game against the Philadelphia Eagles, make sure you pull up for the live play-by-play analysis for that game as well. Make sure you pull up for every regular season game, including the ones at Sunday 1 p.m., Sunday 4 p.m., Sunday 8 p.m., Monday night, all of them. And of course, if we make it into the playoffs, I'm speaking into existence, I will live stream for those games as well. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get to it. Let's get it. All right, y'all, man. So we'll start with the offensive coordinator before we get to the quarterback. And Scott Turner, man, it's so weird because like he'll have like 5 plays a game where he just looks like a genius. Like, what made you think to do that? That worked out so well. Like the Curtis Samuel run up the middle early in the game, like through the A gap, and it got like 15 yards. I mean, some of those play calls, the really good throw, one of the best throws I've ever seen from Taylor Heinicke, the Dax Milne for the touchdown. That was a great play design, good play call. Well, I wouldn't say a lot, but there were a few great play calls in there. Not just good, but great, where he looks like a genius. Then you also have other moments, most notably a QB draw on 3rd and 7. Like, I would understand maybe if we were deep in our own, with the red zone behind us, the end zone behind us, we're just trying to create a little bit of space for Tressway to punt. No, we were like in the middle of the field. We were either on their side of the field or almost on their side of the field, near the 50-yard line somewhere. And we ran a QB draw on 3rd and 7 with, I know Taylor Heinicke has legs, but he's not Justin Fields. Wrong guy from Metro Atlanta. And shouts out to Justin Fields too. He had such a great day today that I can't even. I'm so happy about what Justin Fields did today and what Georgia did yesterday. I can't even be upset what Taylor Heinicke did today. I can't even be upset about what Taylor Heinicke did today, honestly. First of all, just because, again, this is what you expect. I don't know how people go into games not expecting Taylor Heinicke to do the things that he did today. Either way, though, back to my point. Scott Turner, man, you also have some what were you thinking play calls in there as well. And it just all be in the same game. Sometimes it looks like Andy Reid's calling our plays, and then sometimes it looks like a hamster with a controller is picking our plays on Madden. Like, I don't know what happens with Scott Turner throughout a game where he just has a genius moment. He has a brain blast from Jimmy Neutron, and then some plays it's just like, man, any of us in the chat during my live streams could have thought of a better play design than that or a better play call than that. I mean, I don't get it. I honestly don't understand it. So moving on from Scott Turner, because it would really take all 22 footage to truly break down what went wrong and what went right for Scott Turner. Maybe I could do a film session on that. But one thing that wasn't his fault was that interception. Logan Thomas is wide open. I don't understand how people tried to blame Scott Turner for that Taylor Heinicke interception. Logan Thomas is wide. I've never seen, and I know I get on Taylor Heinicke's head a lot. Again, people that are from Atlanta or from the Atlanta metro area, just even around Georgia, like Tyreek Hill and just anybody, even if you're not from Atlanta, if you're just from the state of Georgia, born and raised and things like that, I'm gonna root for you harder than anybody else. I should be honestly the biggest Taylor Heinicke fan out of our entire fan base. But at the same time, I'm going to also be the most critical. That's why when Jamin Davis, Antonio Gibson, Montez Sweat, or anybody else from Atlanta metro area have bad games, I'm on their head the most because I expect more out of them. I'm the same with Taylor Heinicke. I'm his biggest fan when he's great. I'm his largest critic when he's terrible. And it's just plain and simple. And I just don't understand what that was. You overthrew Logan Thomas 3 times today. He's one of the biggest targets on the team. And not only did you overthrow him 3 times, but the third one you overthrew him by like 10 yards. It would have taken 2 Logan Thomases to catch that. And it was an interception that literally lost us the game. And the sad part is, like I was talking about in my stream, Taylor Heinicke's best trait is being clutch when we need him most. Like when we're down 7 or less and we just need some points to win the game, to tie up the game or whatever, like 5 minutes left in the 4th quarter, that's literally when he plays his best football. But he didn't even get that chance to do that because the defense just couldn't get off the field for one reason or another. And it's just really sad. It's really sad because Taylor Heinicke, the first 3.5 quarters usually isn't going to be great. He's going to be very sporadic, and at best, he'll maybe make some good throws. But overall, if we really want to talk about it, let's really talk about it. Taylor Heinicke, since he started for us the 3 games that we did, because remember, he only started 2 games of our win streak. Carson Wentz was the first one. Out of the 3 games that Taylor Heinicke has started, 2 wins, 1 loss, he may have given us 5 good quarters. Maybe. If we're talking about complete quarters, he's maybe, at benefit of the doubt, giving us 5 good quarters. But at the end of the day, when you need him most, he usually will step up at the end, which is a good trait to have. But he's the reason why we're in these situations where we need him to clutch up. So you can't give him all of the credit for being clutch, but also and then just ignore the fact that he's the reason that he even is in the situation where he needs to be clutch. The reason we're not getting points is because Taylor Heinicke just isn't a great quarterback. He's not a future franchise quarterback. I hate this argument that we shouldn't throw Sam Howell in there because that's basically showing that you're selling the team, you're tanking. I just don't see the big difference. Taylor Heinicke is not the reason we're winning these games. He's clutching up at the end, but again, he's the reason you're in these situations where you even need to clutch up. And then he's also the reason that we do end up winning these games. But again, the main point is we shouldn't even be in these situations in the first place where he has to. We've only had 7 points in the Colts game with 5 minutes left, and then he goes on a tirade of one of his best 5 minutes spans of time in his career. Like, that was arguably the best 5 minutes of Taylor Heinicke's career against the Colts. He balled out, 4th downs, everything. He did everything he was supposed to do. And in that second half against the Packers was excellent as well. But like, come on now, we gotta be better, Taylor Heinicke. But let me go ahead and show you, because I have a statistic that I kept bringing up in the live stream that should prove my point as to I hate this whole don't throw Sam Howell out there is showing a message to the team that you're tanking. When, I mean, I just don't know what Taylor Heinicke's really doing anyway, because the Commanders have won their last 3 games despite only scoring 52 points. The fewest points by an NFL team during a 3-game win streak since the Broncos scored 50 in November of 2011. So, as far as 3-game win streaks go, our offense is historically bad. And offense hasn't been on a 3-game win streak with being as bad as our offense has been since the Broncos in 2011. That's not winning football. That is not long-term sustainability. You cannot expect to win game by game and make the playoffs and even try to win playoff games with a winning formula like that. Our offense is historically bad for a 3-game win streak. Historically bad. Again, no team since the Broncos in 2011 have scored 52 points or less on a 3-game win streak. It like that. So when you say bench Taylor Heinicke for Sam Howell, and then like that's like showing that we're tanking and that's a bad message to send to the team, what is Taylor Heinicke honestly doing? I know it's not all about stats. There's elements of heart. Like I already acknowledged, Taylor Heinicke is one of the luckiest quarterbacks I've ever seen. The throws he gets away with are crazy. But I do, one thing I appreciate about him is that he's going to throw it up. Triple cover, whatever. At least he tries. Carson Wentz was killing me because we just refused to target Terry McLaurin. I feel like some of that was on Scott Turner as well. But one thing about Taylor Heinicke, when it matters most, he's going to get the ball to his best players or at least give them a chance to make a play. And now Terry McLaurin, that moment he had against the Colts is something he'll never forget, something none of his family or friends will ever forget. He was able to do that in his hometown. Taylor Heinicke at the very least creates great memories. I mean, what he did to the Falcons, y'all know I hate the Falcons more than any other NFL team ever. I mean, I kind of hate the Cowboys too because of the division, but I don't hate them as much as y'all do because I was raised in Atlanta. So, you know, for obvious reasons, I hate the Falcons more than any other NFL team. What he did, the way that we won that game, that one throw to Terry McLaurin was terrible, but Terry McLaurin went up and got it. I mean, Taylor Heinicke at the very least is exciting and fun to watch at times, because I mean, when you're scoring 17 points a game, that's not the most exciting offense, but he does play an exciting brand of football. But there's no way y'all go into these games expecting to win them. I mean, I was even surprised we were up 17-10 against the 6-1 Vikings. Well, now 7-1. And then, of course, you know, right on cue, Taylor Heinicke interception. Again, I want him to be great. I prefer to go with Sam Howell as a starting quarterback because, I mean, we're not getting much from Taylor Heinicke. At least we can maybe potentially start to score 30 points in a game with a different quarterback. Maybe. I love the fact that, again, going from Carson Wentz to Taylor Heinicke made a lot of sense because our offensive line is bad. With the good O-line, you prefer Carson Wentz. With the bad O-line, you prefer Taylor Heinicke. I'm not disputing that. But Sam Howell has the same escapability as Taylor Heinicke, if anything, even more, because he's more of a pure runner. Like, he has better running back vision, and he can break tackles and break sacks like he did in the preseason. And that whole, okay, Taylor Heinicke, he's able to rally the team. Sam Howell has that same exact thing, and I think, if anything, the team can actually relate to him more. Now, Taylor Heinicke has a better history. He's a veteran quarterback. He knows the offense better. So it's easier for, you know, the players to rally around him and believe in him right now. But Sam Howell's personality, with the way that he listens to the same exact music as the guys on the team, like most of the players on the team and stuff like that, the way he even talks outside of interviews. Remember when we drafted him, the way he was talking to De'Ami Brown? If I wasn't looking at the camera, I would have never known that was Sam Howell. If you're talking about rally to the team, Sam Howell has an even higher ceiling than Taylor Heinicke, even outside of just physical attributes, I think he could potentially get the same result and same camaraderie out of the team that Taylor Heinicke does, if not more. Now, I mean, granted, I understand logically. You're on a 3-game win streak. Taylor Heinicke is your starting quarterback for 2 of them. It is weird to bench him at that point and go with Sam Howell. But with the way he played today, and for him being literally the reason that we lost, and now granted, the Eagles are going to be a really good team, one of the best teams in the NFL, if not the best team. So I'm rooting for us to win, and I think we match up well. Anything can happen in division games. But if we lose that game to the Eagles, of course, the argument could be, well, it was the Eagles. They are one of the best teams. But I feel like you're better off throwing Sam Howell out there. At least he gives you a chance. I like Taylor Heinicke. Metro Atlanta, I know I keep saying it, but like, he has a certain ceiling to him that is like, I trust Taylor Heinicke to beat the bad teams, but if we have any hope of beating the good teams, I think Sam Howell's your only hope. Sam Howell has a higher ceiling and a lower floor. Taylor Heinicke is just not going to cut it for the Eagles. Sam Howell is your best chance for the Eagles. Now, because Taylor Heinicke is technically the better quarterback right now, because we're not exactly sure if Sam Howell can actually run an NFL offense and actually win NFL games right now. Of course, when you're going against lesser teams like the Colts or the struggling Green Bay Packers, you do prefer to have Taylor Heinicke, a guy that can basically just be a game manager and make plays with his feet when he needs to extend plays and to convert some third downs. But if you need an out of their body experience, amazing quarterback game, Sam Howell is our only hope, in my opinion, for beating the Eagles. Unless we're expecting our defense to be locked down and expecting, a lot of y'all hate Scott Turner. I don't hate Scott Turner, but I do feel like he needs to be way better and way more consistent than he's been. So unless you're expecting Scott Turner to call the game of his life and our defense to play just as well as they did today, if not better, against a better offense than the Eagles, what hope do you have in us winning the game against the Eagles other than potentially a quarterback with a higher ceiling that maybe something clicks? Now, there's a huge chance that Sam Howell can go out there and be even worse than Taylor Heinicke. Maybe Taylor Heinicke good enough, again, low ceiling, relatively middle to high floor type of guy. Maybe Taylor Heinicke goes out there, you lose like 15-30 against the Eagles. Whereas Sam Howell, you throw him out there, he's so bad, we lose 40-3. But at the same time, Sam Howell, I feel like, is our only real chance. Again, you need to take some risk, and this is the time. The Eagles game is the time to do it, in my opinion. But I can understand why only after one loss, and I mean, it was against a good team in the Vikings. I mean, they're 7-1 now, so it's not like we can really hang our heads low. We only lost 3 points to them. Why you feel like, hey, Taylor Heinicke, just don't make that one dumb mistake again. We win this game. We should be 5-4, and you should be the starting quarterback against the Eagles. I see that argument as well, but I'm also presenting to y'all the opposite argument as well, because I hate how much hate this whole Sam Howell over Heinicke thing gets, when what is Heinicke even really doing? And then moving on, wide receiver wise, loved what I saw from Terry McLaurin today, getting them active, using them. Thank you, Scott Turner and Taylor Heinicke. Again, one thing you always got to give Taylor Heinicke credit for is getting the ball to the playmakers, at least giving them a chance. Now, granted, Taylor Heinicke was 15-28, 149 yards, 2 touchdowns, and interception. That's not great. That's actually quite unacceptable. But you know, at the very least, he gives his guys opportunities. Curtis Samuel was targeted 4 times, 3 catches for 65 yards. Terry McLaurin was targeted 9 times, 5 catches for 56 yards. I'm not mad at that at all. Really not. I mean, granted, it would be nice if there were better placed balls so he could have more catches, but 9 targets for Terry McLaurin, I'm never mad at that. If anything, I think he should get double digits every game. So, again, as much trash as I just talked about Taylor Heinicke, at least salute to him for giving the guys we pay the most money the most opportunities to make plays. And then Cam Sims had that 1 catch for 12 yards. Antonio Gibson had 3 targets, 2 catches for 11. That Dax Milne throw was a beautiful throw. That's going to be one of the better throws you see all throughout this weekend from anybody in the NFL, from any quarterback. Got to give Taylor Heinicke credit for that. I mean, if he throws it any shorter, any higher, behind, too far in front, any sooner, any later, that's not a touchdown, because either it's incomplete, or if you throw it behind or throw it late, he's not able to keep running with the ball and stretch out to get that touchdown. He's tackled short, and then who knows what happens after that. So that was a great throw from him, and shouts out to Dax Milne for making that play. Great route running, great play from him. Shouts out to him, and I absolutely loved that play. I was really happy to see that from both of those guys. The fact that Dax Milne is like our 5th or 6th receiver, like I said in my stream, other teams will be jealous of our skill position players. If you look at our receiving core, our tight end core when healthy, and our running back core, there are a lot of teams out there that are jealous of our skill position players. Right now, our offensive line is holding us back. Our quarterback is obviously throwing games away and holding us back. And then Scott Turner and Ron Rivera are holding us back as well. But the skill position players and a lot of the pieces we have on defense and our defense overall, we're going to talk about them later, especially Benjamin St-Juste. We have a lot of pieces to be a Super Bowl contender, but we're just missing some of the most important stuff. O-line is struggling, and our quarterback, you can't win in 2022 without a consistent and a good quarterback. It's a quarterback's league. Doesn't matter how good your defense is. The NFL is literally set up for the offense to beat the defense. I mean, some of those Vikings touchdowns were great coverage, but just a good throw and a good catch is going to be great coverage every day. All the time, any day of the week. That's just how the NFL is set up. So it's great to have a great defense, but it matters more to have a great quarterback, plain and simple, as we can see. Rushing the ball wise, I mean, yeah, just before we move on, shouts out to the receivers. I felt like they played pretty well today overall. Running back wise, I mean, Brian Robinson, 13 carries, 44 yards. Antonio Gibson, 11 carries for 36 yards. I don't really blame them. I mean, of course, they're going to make their fair share of mistakes with going through the wrong hole at the wrong times and stuff like that. But overall, it was really the offensive line as to why we couldn't run the ball better. Also, you're never going to run the ball well with Taylor Heinicke as your quarterback. It's impossible. Teams are not threatened by his arm. Now, granted, Rich did bring it up during the stream, and I have noticed this a little bit, that it seems like Taylor Heinicke's arm is a little bit stronger than it was last year, and I think it's more so just because he's throwing with better mechanics right now. That's what I'm just going to assume. So his arm is not as weak as it was last year, but it's still not enough of a threat for teams to take at least not have 7 in the box. I mean, they're stacking 7 in the box. Scott Turner's predictable play calling. They know we're running the ball on 1st and 10 and probably even again on 2nd and 10. So they just stack the box. You're not afraid of Taylor Heinicke's arm. Scott Turner doesn't scare you with his play calling either. So it's just really hard for the running backs to even run the ball. And I mean, again, the offensive line should do a better job opening holes, but it's not really much they can do when it's 5 of them and 7 defenders. Like, it's just really not much they can do. Again, you can blame that on Taylor Heinicke's arm strength and unwillingness to throw it deep down the field and Scott Turner's play calling. But other than that, I mean, Armani Rogers, that 1 carry for 24 yards, that's one of the genius Scott Turner play calls. That was a great play. I keep telling y'all, Armani Rogers has Darren Waller level potential. I mean, if we're talking about just athleticism, speed, explosion, strength, all of that, he can literally be Darren Waller if we just take the time to develop it. It's still very raw, even though he's progressed way faster than I thought he would. I mean, as far as being a blocker, using his hands, running, all of that. Remember, he was a quarterback until like his entire life, literally until like February, March, like the East-West Shrine Bowl game. And then he was like, all right, let me switch to tight end. That's literally, he's only been playing tight end for less than a year so far in his life. And the fact that he's already doing what he's doing, he's just a raw talent. Develop that. I think he could be special. And of course, Curtis Samuel, that 1 run up the middle, 16 yards, one of the Scott Turner genius play calls. Love him being active in the running game. I wish we would have utilized that a little bit more. We did it once. It worked really well. Scott Turner overthinking it, never went back to doing it again for some odd reason. And then offensive line wise, again, struggling. I mean, what can you really do? We still have injuries. Samuel Cosmi's technically healthy enough to play right now, but they're using him as a backup because he's not 100%. If there's an injury, he would play, but right now they don't feel like he's healthy enough to start. And I'm still having debates about whether or not, even when he comes back, we should probably move him to guard. Sadiq Charles has been holding it down, but then he's been out. So Trey Turner's had to take over, and he hasn't been as bad as he was before he got benched for Sadiq Charles, but he also hasn't been very good. And then Tyler Larson is trying to hold it down, and Andrew Norwell's trying to do what he can. And Charles Leno is easily and by far our most consistent offensive lineman right now, so thank goodness for him. But either way, I'm sorry. Either way, this just hasn't been really good offensive line blocking for passing and run blocking. It just hasn't been great. But again, run blocking for the reasons I've already stated. What can you really expect out of those guys? And then pass blocking, you just straight up got to be better. Now, granted, the Vikings do have a really good pass rush, but you got to be better, man. I don't think the Vikings pass rush is as deadly as the Cowboys and the Eagles. So it's time to step up, man. You got to go against those teams twice a year. So even though the Vikings do have a good pass rush, the offensive line needs to be ready ready to win against those guys, because if you can't win against them, how do you expect to win against the Cowboys, Giants, and Eagles? The Giants pass rush is only getting better once Kayvon Thibodeau and all of those guys get better, and my Georgia Bulldog over there keeps getting better. So it's just like, we just got to be better. It's literally plain and simple. Got to be better on all levels. This is not on one person. This is not all Taylor Heinicke's fault, but Taylor Heinicke's definitely the number one reason if you had to rank it. But it's not all on his fault. Like I said, the offensive line has been bad. Scott Turner play calling, Ron Rivera time management, but number one has to be Taylor Heinicke. Now moving on to the defense. The defensive line, man, I mean, what more can we say? Walking into this game, everybody knows the best way to get to Kirk Cousins is to pressure him up the middle. That's the best way to beat a Kirk Cousins. And we did that very well, consistently. But for some reason, Kirk Cousins was throwing some of the best dots I've ever seen him throw in his career. If he was throwing those with us, we would have won way more games. I don't know what he was on today. I don't know if they had some type of scrimmage before the game amongst themselves for him to warm up. Because, I mean, literally, first drive of the game, he's throwing dots. And even after getting hit, he's beat up, taking a super beating. I respect Kirk Cousins way more after this game, because I feel like our defense did everything they could. And again, great defense is always going to get beat by great offense. It's the way the NFL is set up. It's 2022. The offense leads the points lead the views lead the more money for the NFL. It's literally set up for, no matter how good the defense is, to lose to an offense that even is as close to them talent-wise and production-wise. It's just literally, great offense is going to be great defense. I know I keep saying it, but it's very true. So it's just like, when you're beating up Kirk Cousins and pressuring them all the time and hitting them even on passes that he completes, you're getting to him, you're getting sacks and stuff like that. The fact that he just held in there and played the way he did, even I thought once we got to the fourth quarter with the beating that he took, he was no longer going to be accurate, but he still found a way to be very accurate. Some of those throws, that Dalvin Cook touchdown to take the to tie the game up, was one of his best throws, man. He had a crazy throw to Justin Jefferson while getting blown up right in the middle through his face mask, I believe, by Deron Payne. Kirk Cousins balled out today. I mean, when you look at the fact that they only scored 20 points, he was 22 of 40 with 265 yards, 1 interception. You think, oh, okay, Kirk Cousins was average today. Nah, he threw some dipping dots today, and I respect him, because again, the defensive line was killing him. He was getting jumped literally after almost every passing play. I was surprised Kevin O'Connell even kept doing dropbacks. I was afraid for Kirk Cousins as a Commanders fan. So the D-line did their thing, man. Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, Montez Sweat, everybody brought it into the rotation. Everybody did their thing. I loved what I saw from the defensive line today. Stopping the run and rushing the passer especially. Linebacker-wise, John Bostic was better today than I expected. He was pretty good, other than some plays where he was matched up against Justin Jefferson. I mean, what do you expect? What linebacker in the NFL can cover Justin Jefferson anyway? So it's just like, I'm actually pleasantly surprised that John Bostic wasn't awful and wasn't like a big glaring hole for this defense, because once David Mayo and Cole Holcomb were out of this game due to separate injuries, I was like, oh yeah, that's a wrap. They're just going to attack our linebackers all day, but they couldn't. I don't know. Defensive line was so quick to get into the quarterback that it didn't allow them to attack the linebackers. And even beyond that, John Bostic was in the right place at the right time at times. And then Jamin Davis, building on his resume, he's having a really good season this year. He hasn't been perfect, of course, but man, against the pass, against the run, he's doing his thing. I'm really proud of him. And then the secondary, man, Kendall Fuller had arguably his best game of the season. Honestly, to me, this was his best game, period. Benjamin St. Juste is becoming that guy. Even that first drive where Justin Jefferson was getting those clutch catches and he got that touchdown, Benjamin St. Juste was right under his hip and with him step for step every way. And I said it after that first drive when we were down 7-0. I was like, man, let Benjamin St. Juste keep manning him. Because if anything, he's going to learn to get better. He's going to get better and better from covering the opponent's team's best receiver game after game. And to me, I feel like ideally, Benjamin St. Juste is just an elite cornerback too. And we draft a corner top of the draft, because I don't think Kendall Fuller is going to be here next year. Even after a great game today, they'll probably prefer to let go of his contract to save over $10 million. And maybe that money goes towards paying and Deron Payne long term, or whatever you want to do with it. Either way, I just don't necessarily see Kendall Fuller being here next year, especially William Jackson already gone. I think they're going to clean house with the corners. They're just going to go completely young Rashad Wild-Goose slot, Benjamin St-Juste as an elite cornerback 2, or a really good cornerback 1, and you draft a corner high in this draft, first or second round, and if you can get like a Keely Ringo or something, who's your number 1 corner, and then you have Benjamin St-Juste as your cornerback number 2, that's one of the best cornerback tandems in the NFL already. So I'm really excited about that. But yeah, man, Benjamin St-Juste, let him man cover the best team's receiver all day, every day. The only problem is you got to give him safety help sometimes, because like that one play where Justin Jefferson beat him deep down the field for like a 50, 60-yard catch, Benjamin St-Juste wasn't completely beat. If it's not a perfect ball from Kirk Cousins, back to my point that Kirk Cousins was throwing Dippin' Dots today, if that ball, probably even thrown by Taylor Heinicke, Justin Jefferson probably has to come back a little bit, and then Benjamin St-Juste is able to break it up. That was a perfectly thrown ball again, and then that's the bruh. People forget Justin Jefferson is arguably the best route running receiver in the NFL. So to be on an island with him, man-to-man coverage all game is insane, because what he does best is get separation against DBs. And the fact that Benjamin St-Juste is with him the majority of that game, right on his hip, no matter what he did, underneath, above, I mean, that just kudos to Benjamin St-Juste. Now, granted, slot fades kills him. Double moves tends to get him as well. But slot fades kill every NFL team. What corner in the NFL, especially slot corners, out here defending slot fades very well, especially with no safety help? Come on now. He should have had safety help on that one big Justin Jefferson play. But other than that, Benjamin St-Juste was great. That pick six should not have been called back. That was a great play, in my opinion. To be completely objective, that was a great play. The sack he got after they called that on him to make up for it. But then that's when the slot fade happened after that. But still, the one time that it was only like 40 seconds left, and we allowed the Vikings to march all the way from like the 25-yard line down to the end zone, almost get a touchdown. There, at the very least, they should have came away with 3 points. Benjamin St-Juste, one-on-one with Justin Jefferson, great pass deflected. It went up, Danny Johnson interception, and that's literally where the momentum started for us and where we took over the game. It went from Benjamin St-Juste, great play on Justin Jefferson, Danny Johnson interception. Then we went into halftime, came back out, Antonio Gibson, great return. And then from there, we took off. Offense took off. Defense was locked down. We were good. And then Taylor Heinicke threw that interception and literally killed all momentum, killed everything. Even if we're not just talking traits or statistics, just the momentum and the emotional impact of that Taylor Heinicke interception literally deflated the whole team. The defense was tired. They expected to get more rest. They were expecting to be able to sit on the sideline a little bit longer. And then Taylor Heinicke throws that interception, and now everybody's upset and tired. They have to go back on the field sooner than they expected. They were expecting the offense to be able to run out the clock a little bit more, run the ball. Taylor Heinicke does that, and then now everybody's tired. You know what I'm saying? It's just... And so then our defense was gassed for the rest of the game, and no wonder the Vikings were able to do whatever they wanted to do on offense. No matter how great your defense is, if you're tired, the offense is going to win. The offense is going to abuse that. They're going to take advantage of that. But yeah, man, the secondary was great today, man. Sad that Taylor Heinicke killed that momentum, but Benjamin St-Juste, man, he's turning into something. Like I keep saying, he's still technically in his rookie and a half year, because he only played, like 5 games last year, his rookie season. So to me, he's still technically a rookie, and the fact that he's out here covering one-on-one Justin Jefferson with no safety help a lot of the time is ridiculous. Like, he could be my number 1 corner. Easily. He could easily be my number 1 corner, but I just think dream case scenario, if he's your number 2 because you draft the number 1 corner, it's lockdown season. There's a no-fly zone. And what better way to find some defense than to go to Georgia? I mean, look at what we're doing this year and last year. Y'all got to stop playing. Rashad Wild-Goose didn't necessarily get exposed today. I don't really remember his name being called out. I saw him with some good coverage on a couple of plays, so he's starting to learn. He's still not great. I don't want to say Rashad Wild-Goose is like obviously a really good starting slot corner yet, but for how young he is, I mean, he was on the practice squad cut from the team 6th round rookie. Remember, he's in his rookie season. He was on the Jets practice squad and got cut, and we picked him up to be a starting slot corner. You know the learning curve and how much developing he's he's had to do to even get to this point right now. So I'm proud of him. He's not a great slot corner, but he's learning, and I think he's only going to get better, so I'm excited. Cameron Curl, man, balled out today. That Dalvin Cook touchdown again, just like the Aaron Rodgers to Aaron Jones touchdown. Cameron Curl has great coverage. It takes a perfect throw and a great catch to beat him, and that's literally what they did with that Dalvin Cook touchdown. Kirk Cousins literally couldn't have thrown it any better than that. Literally no better. Great catch by Dalvin Cook. Great coverage there by Cameron Curl. I'm not mad at you. Like I keep saying, great offense beats great defense every time. It's the way NFL is set up. So I love having a great defense, but it's far more important to have a great offense because the NFL is literally set up for defenses to lose. It literally is. They make more money that way. Derek Forrest, man, appreciate everything you're doing. I mean, you're just a turnover machine right now, man. I really appreciate it, man. Oh, leave that alone. Leave that. Derek Forrest, man, I appreciate everything you're doing. I mean, you even had good coverage one-on-one against Justin Jefferson one play. I mean, he's doing everything. Run game, passing game. There's a reason Pro Football Focus feels like he's the fourth best safety in the NFL according to their grading system. And Cameron Curl is the number one best safety in the NFL according to their grading system. So technically, according to Pro Football Focus, we have the best safety duo between Derek Forrest and Cameron Curl in the entire NFL by far. They feel like Cameron Curl is the best safety in the NFL. They feel like Derek Forrest is the fourth, and they've both been playing like it. I'm not going to lie. But, of course, it's Pro Football Focus. Neither of those guys will probably make the Pro Bowl, even though I feel like Cameron Curl definitely deserves to, but it is what it is. And Bobby McCain, I feel like he's having a good games overall. He's doing what he needs to do. I feel like he's had great plays on underneath stuff, like blowing up screens. He's had 2 back-to-back games, the Colts and this game, where he's blown up screens and made plays underneath, like batting down the pass or whatever. So everything underneath, he's been playing better, and I think he's starting to get more comfortable deep down the field. I feel like a lot of blame goes towards him that he doesn't deserve. A lot of people blame him on certain stuff. Now, granted, it's one of those things you kind of got to look at the all 22 to understand, but I feel like he does get way more hate than he deserves, and I think he's playing well this season overall. He's had his moments, but he's playing well overall. And then before we transition to special teams, Percy Butler, don't really remember what he did on defense, but you got to be better on special teams, man. Need better from you, man. Tressway had like the almost perfect punt. I mean, that punt was almost as good as the Georgia 75-yard punt that went out of bounds at the 1-yard line. That was the best punt I've ever seen in my life, ever. 75 goes, but Tressway's punt was close to that, honestly. It was right there. All you had to do was go down there and touch it. That was a really good punt for Tressway, and Percy Butler sold him, not keeping it out of the end zone. It is what it is, man. But the defense ended up bailing us out of that anyway and getting the ball back, so it didn't really impact the game. But Percy Butler, if you want to play more on defense, you got to show out on special teams. You got to pay your dues. That's how it goes, man. Especially as a third-round rookie, and again, our safeties right now are balling. According to Pro Football Focus, we have the best safety group in the NFL. So if you're a backup safety, a third-round rookie, you need to do some impressive stuff on special teams to get the coaches to notice you, for you to potentially get more playing time on the defensive side of the ball as well. Again, Tressway, so clutch. Shouts out to Joey Sly. He made every kick we needed him to make. PATs, field goals, all of that. Shouts out to him, 1-on-1 for field goal, 44-yarder. That's supposed to be automatic. I shouldn't be nervous about that, but he made them, so I'm starting to trust him a little bit more. 2 of 2 on extra points. He hasn't missed a PAT or a field goal in at least the past 2, maybe 3 games, so that's good. We're starting to trust him a little bit more. Still a little nervous, but he's starting to gain my trust a little bit. And then Antonio Gibson on kickoffs is the answer. We should have been doing that. Thank goodness. Some explosion. Now, Dax Milne, still don't love him on kickoffs because he provides you nothing explosive, but at the very least, he doesn't muff punts. So I'll take that, I guess. I really miss DeAndre Carter. I still don't know why we got rid of him, because at least on punts, we can maybe flip some field position. And Dax Milne, like I keep saying, I call him automatic fair catch, because whether he fair catches it or not, he's not going anywhere. But he had 2 pretty decent returns today. He had a couple of bad ones where he did a spin move out of nowhere for no reason, which made him get way less yards than he should have. He would have just kept running, he would have had way more yards. But overall, I mean, as long as he's not muffing punts, especially after the Bears and Packers games, Dax Milne's stock has gone up because he doesn't muff punts, and we literally probably won those games because of muff punts, especially the Bears game. We literally only won that game because of a muff punt, and then you can argue the Packers game, we may have only won that game because of a muff punt that turned into 3 points. But so the fact that Dax Milne doesn't muff punts after those games, especially, pretty sure Ron Rivera sees Dax Milne as like an MVP caliber player on this team by the fact that he doesn't muff punts. Ron Rivera probably loves this guy. But I hate him on punt returns just off of the returning wise, but he doesn't muff punts, and and that is big because our defense is good enough to where we don't necessarily need a field position flipper, but it would be really lovely to have one. There has to be somebody out there that does a muff punts and can flip some field positioning. But back to Antonio Gibson, man, really appreciate him. Man, we've needed this explosion this whole season. I mean, maybe we win a couple of games if Antonio Gibson's our kick returner, because I mean, it's a domino effect. Him as a kick returner, better field positioning. You never know what will happen on offense or defense in any given game, and maybe we win another game just by that type of transition and that difference. But either way, shouts out to Antonio Gibson for what he's doing on offense and special teams. And man, I just can't wait to get Jahan Dotson back. I can't wait to get this whole team back. Cole Holcomb, Jahan Dotson. We have a lot of players out, man. We're missing a lot of guys. Like today, we didn't have Cole Holcomb, David Mayo, I guess, Jahan Dotson, J.D. McKissick, Cole Turner. Chris Paul is inactive, but he's healthy. He just doesn't play. And then Shaka Toney, we also don't have him, and I think he has a lot of potential. So when we get back healthy, it'd be really nice. And of course, Samuel Cosme, you know, dealing with his injury, and then he also had an illness right before the end of the week, so he probably wouldn't have played anyway. We have a lot of injuries. Remember, you can't forget Wes Schweitzer and Chase Roulier, two of our best offensive line, honestly, are still on IR. We should be getting Chase Young back, maybe. So this is a hurt team that's playing beyond what they should be, honestly, overall. But Taylor Heinicke, Scott Turner, Ron Rivera, and the offensive line still need to be better. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please leave a like on this video if you liked it, if you learned anything. Let me know if you agree or disagree with any of my points, especially the Taylor Heinicke versus Sam Howell thing. And just let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this game. Any topic that I missed that I should have talked about that I didn't, let me know that. And of course, man, I appreciate all the support, man. Shouts out to all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors' name you see scrolling on the screen right now. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I'm out.